Yo, what's good, everybody? We are now live with Tone Fach with us right now, which is super freaking exciting. I can tell you it's the first time we've gone to Pennsylvania on this tour of people that we have talked to over here on Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and joining me, as I said, is Tone Fach, and he is a freaking talented artist coming out of Pennsylvania. What's up, Golden Jenny from Norway? We got to chat this live too, so sometimes we interact with them. And yeah, we're really excited to have you here. The whole point of this show is in general to walk through the lives of our guests and just kind of extract different knowledge nuggets from their experience and, you know, almost humanize you and try to get some of those good stories that Wikipedia doesn't have about you yet. So with that, to start this off right, we like to kind of like just set the story proper. So if you can let us know where you were born and where the early part of your life takes place, that would be like super helpful to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, right down by the lake, Hammond Hospital. And I lived most of my life here. Maybe around like seventh grade, I moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. I was down there for a few years, but yeah, most of my time I've been here in Erie.
Awesome. So that's basically where we set the stage. And with that, I do have a first question I really like to do to get the ball rolling. It's a little bit of a story. And when it lands, you can kind of take it in whatever direction you want. We'll start talking for reals. It starts with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes. And she got her phone out. She's playing that Black Eyed Peas song, that I got a feeling, ooh, and she's vibing, she's dancing, she's doing her thing, washing the dishes, and I start thinking about this song, right? And I'm like, yo, it's kind of nifty that this song is now chores music. Like when we do chores or when we exercise or we do this stuff, it's almost like we want to go back to that music that used to be club music. Because like 10 years ago, what would we all do? A little drunk, 2 a.m. That song would be playing. Everybody's dancing around, having the time of our lives, right? So now we're doing the super boring, mundane tasks of life. We put on that kind of music that we used to party to 10 years ago to put ourselves in energy to make everything proper. And I thought that was like astounding. How the whole relationship we have with a song could go and just change and evolve with us on our journey throughout life. And I was like, that's nifty. Which also means all those little ones right now partying to Cardi B and stuff have no idea that in 10 years they're going to be the people doing dishes to Cardi B music and all this other stuff, which I thought was amazing. But then I found out people's is just doing that now. It's just club music becomes chores music, you know, or whatever the equivalent is. Whatever you had fun to, that's the stuff you need to get through the day kind of music later on. And then with that, if music's all on these journeys with us, and we as musicians, we have our own journeys that we go on. And in a lot of ways, when we start talking about our journeys and all of that, it usually kind of starts in that adolescent era when we start to form our identities and we start to pick our favorites of everything. And that's typically where most people start the story. But if you think about music, it's just kind of always there from like the time we're born. There's gonna probably even be music in the hospital type thing. So like always been around us. Nobody talks about that early part of life. Like I can remember being like 4 or 5 years old, and like my dad would have these gray boxes in the apartment, the amp and the radios and the tape decks and everything, and they would all be attached with these wires. It would take him forever to set the shit up, moving all these speakers around the apartment, and he would be blasting out his Led Zeppelin tapes, and at nighttime it was that like 90s club techno that would be blasted across the radios. My mom's was into like musicals and discos and other stuff I was less enthused about. Like at Christmas time we had this like tape that was EDM remixes of popular Christmas songs, and we would play it like once a year at that one fucking time. That's all the time we ever heard that tape. So with all that, like you can kind of get this sense where like if we really dig back, music's just kind of always there, and that actually just kind of impacts us all the way to this very day in our lives. So I was hoping you could take us back to like the youngest Tone Fach that you can remember, and walk us through a little bit about what it sounded like to be you before you had any control over anything, like what your parents and the environment was like and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like, well, my dad was a musician and stuff, so he was
Okay.
always in the music and stuff. Like for example, when like a movie like La Bamba would come on, that's when my dad would always get up and turn the stereo on and put it through the speakers and crank it and stuff. Like, loved music and stuff, and always listening to the radio. I had an older sister too, though, and like she was the hip hop influence for me. Like I remember getting the Warren G Regulators cassette tape. I remember the first time I ever heard that. It's like one of the first rap songs I remember.
How old
And
were
I
you
just remember
when you?
just like the story, and it was just like, oh, it was everything. Like I get chills thinking about it. Like I love that song. Like it always takes me back.
And when did you encounter that? Like, how young were you when you got that?
I'd have to be. It's probably like kindergarten. Honestly, yeah, kindergarten.
Okay, so you're 5 years old with a Warren G tape, bumping Regulator, and capture with the story.
Yeah, I just thought of a funny story. There was the one kid across the street who had one of those walkie-talkie talk walk things that from Home Alone 2. You know that thing that he had in there, you record your voice. And there was a kid across the street from me. He had one of those things, and we were over there, and me and my brother were rapping Eazy-E, "Give Me That Nut," and we rapped a verse into that, and I'll never forget like his dad coming over with the cassette tape to show my mom, and my sister getting all her rap tapes taken away from her.
Oh my gosh! So you're saying
Like when I
saying
listen to that song, I'm like, oh my god! Like I had no idea what it was when I was that little. Like.
so your sister linked y'all up with the inappropriate raps. Y'all went to the neighbor's crib and basically recorded yourself spitting the inappropriate raps into a tape recorder, which created the evidence and made your sister unhappy for a little while.
Oh yeah, she was really upset.
But that's so cool. Like, you were like already at such a young age memorizing rap lyrics because of your sister.
Oh yeah, she was a big influence on just like music in general growing up. Like when you say kitchen music, that's what I think about is my sister. Like, you know what I mean? She had her kids young and stuff, so she was always in the kitchen playing music and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? That was like that was her area and stuff. So there was always like, you know what I mean? And back then you didn't have Spotify playlists or anything like that, so it'd be one burnt CD or something. Like if you're lucky, or like, you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, definitely understand that world. You also said the radio is a huge part of that influence too. What was the radio like growing up for you in Pennsylvania?
Just like you know what I mean? Like I didn't have cable really when I was younger. I did when I was real young, but then for years I went without it and stuff. And then like MTV and stuff started coming around, like, and that was pretty much like the same stuff that was on like MTV would play like on the radio station and stuff. Unless like if my dad's listening to the radio, it was always like classic rock or something like that. Same with my mom, but for us it was always just like, you know, popular music. When I was younger, just I grew up in the era like when NSYNC and Britney Spears and like, you know what I mean, Eminem and DMX, that stuff was like on the radio.
That's the era I grew up in, so that's definitely something I'm very familiar with. But when you were young, so you're already starting to memorize like the fucking tracks, so you're already starting to practice this. Did you want to be like a singer or a rapper when you were little? Did you want?
Not really so much. I can't say like, you know what I mean? It wasn't until I was probably like, honestly, like 11. That's when I really started writing and stuff. So like, I guess you could still kind of consider that young, but at that age, like we just like, you know what I mean? To me, like Warren G, Snoop Dogg, like I remember seeing the Snoop Dogg video where he'd like turn into the dogs and stuff. And that was just like, that was it for me and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Even though I was on the East Coast and stuff, that was when that West Coast wave took over. And that's what, like, you know what I mean, I grew up on and loved, like Warren G, Nate Dogg, Snoop, like.
So basically you grew up listening to a bunch of West Coast rap through your sister.
Yeah.
That's pretty banging. And this is all like without, like, did you have access to the internet and all that, or is it more just like this is what you had?
Dude, I ain't had the internet until I bought it for myself. I never had the internet growing up. I never had a computer. We never had none of that.
Yeah, I think I was a teenager before we got the internet, so I know exactly what it is to be like a kid without having any access to being plugged in.
I remember having like that's how my like interaction with that was my friend having it, and I remember like going on like AOL chats like at his house like once or twice. Like that was my only glimpse of the internet until I was probably like, you know what I mean, in my late 20s.
That's serious, still. That's like a very different reality. So what'd y'all do then when you were little? Like, so what do you do to pass the time in a world with no internet?
I mean, we'd be outside, like, you know what I mean? You got to think about like the internet really didn't pop off until what? Like I graduated high school in '06, and then like, you know what I mean, the internet like, because I remember a friend even in high school like like showing me skateboard like videos on YouTube and stuff, and that was like my first thing seeing YouTube. Then I didn't see it for years then because like, you know, I never got it. Like my dad never had internet or anything like that at the house, so
And Erie's like a smaller town, right?
yeah, it's not too big.
Right. Um, that's the one. That's right by Ontario, then, eh? If it's Lake Erie, like that's one of the Great Lakes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't know that, it's bad for my geography skills. um, so you're growing up in a smaller town environment. Y'all are outside a lot. Is like so. As you hit around, what gets you to start writing? You said you started writing and stuff around 11. What is the transition that makes you start to kind of get more into that world?
Yeah, that was actually when I lived in Florida. Like I said, I moved to Florida and halfway through my seventh grade year, and there was when I started getting together with this one kid. I was on the bus and I seen he had wrote raps. He had his like his book right there, and I was like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Oh, this is like my rhyme book." And then like he's like, "You go ahead, you could read it." And I just thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, "Oh, you're just gonna let somebody read your rhyme book?" Like you know what I mean? Like, and then I like read it, and it was just like, wasn't that great? And I just thought like in my like I was like, damn, I was like, I really think I can do better than this. Like, and I started writing and stuff and started messing around with it. And then I started hanging out with him, and we would like freestyle a little bit and mess around. And then I had an older guy that I used to help out at this shop and stuff, like under the table when I was younger. And this older guy wrote like poems and stuff. And that was like, you know what I mean? That was around the time when I started getting into like, you know what I mean, rock music as well. Like, you know, like Linkin Park and all that, System of the Down. That's when all that stuff started coming in and stuff. And he was kind of more of that realm and stuff. But like, you know what I mean? The poetry was still kind of there, like the rapping. So he kind of inspired me to start like, you know what I mean, really like trying to write like songs and stuff. And I just never stopped after that. I just fell in love, like just absorbed everything about it.
That's super cool. So you're like really young, like 11, 12, which is still really young. You get to link up with the next people, and they kind of inspire you to start writing. So how do you go about writing songs when you're young? Do you find beats? Like, how do you do this?
Oh yeah, see, like when I was younger, like it was just like I remember like writing like my own version of like Sean Paul's "Give Me the Light." Like I remember like, you know, stuff like that. Like and back then like I'm rapping about like Escalades and stuff because that's what like I see everybody like, you know what I mean. It
Mm.
was I had no idea really what I was doing, but I just knew like how much I liked it and just loved like like even at a young age too with my like my grandmother and stuff used to send me like poetry and stuff like religious poetry, and like I was never really like into the religious aspect of it, but like always the like, you know, the words, I was always a fan of poetry, like, you know what I mean, making words rhyme and kind of doing that thing like. So that's like, you know what I mean, that's was always my thing, like, oh, like how can I make this rhyme and sound it good? And then you realize it doesn't have to be the greatest rhyme, the words in between it like make it sound so much better, like the meaning of it, the depth, like.
Ooh, I like what you just said there, just on a songwriting part. The rhyme doesn't have to necessarily be the best if the words in between the rhymes are fucking fire.
Well, yeah, like you know what I mean. Like there's only so many words, and everyone's rhymed them. Like, yeah, you could come with like complex words and stuff, but like, you know what I mean. Somebody could use a simple word, but like, you know what I mean. Like, I always use the example of the one Eminem song where he's like, "Yeah, Dad, let's walk, let's have us a talk. But we couldn't get one block without you knocking my block off. It was all your fault," or something like that. Like, I can't remember exactly, but like the way he hit it and the like, he just made like block, walk, talk, like, you know what I mean, simple words, but like it had so much depth, like you could feel like, you know what I mean, he's talking about his pops and stuff. Like I was just like, damn, like, you know what I mean, that's why I feel like he has that great, like, ability to make something so simple be so complex in the same time. Like, it's kind of beautiful and shit. Like,
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to describe what he does extremely well when he's doing it. I like that side of him a lot more than the overly complex stuff he's doing now. That's
oh yeah.
I'm just
Like, I don't think he spit a 16 bars in like years. Like, he just raps forever. Anytime he's on a song, like, he's just gonna rap his head off. Which, like, he always kills it and stuff. But sometimes it's like, what I mean? Like,
there was
I'd
one.
rather have bars that hit me harder. Like,
Yeah, I hear you on that. There was one track on the side B of Music to Be Murdered by. I made the mistake of choosing to review this album without listening to it before, so I was committed. Oh. And then one of them, he just raps at me for like 3 minutes straight forever. I remember in the middle of the verse going, "I just don't care right now," and I couldn't listen to it. And then I'm like, "This is gonna be the worst review of my life." It was, but like, yeah, no, like sometimes it's like 3 minutes of him rhyming shit wasn't as appealing, but talk with walk with block lined up properly with some power behind it, I can get behind that any day of the week.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, what I mean, not to take away nothing, like, what I mean, like on a technical aspect, what he's doing is like amazing. Like, what I mean, there's no doubt about it and stuff. But sometimes it's like it doesn't have to be so technical and so much. Like, what I mean? Like, you could just like something like more subtle, like hits harder, like, what I mean, that depth in it. Like,
yeah, I totally hear you. I agree with you for the record. Like, I'm completely with that. I find what he's doing now is akin to metal guitarists trying to shred at 320 BPM to prove they can, rather than finding like a really good Oasis groove. Because like Oasis can groove, and it's so simple, but can you groove like Oasis? I don't think most of us could. So it's like that kind of side of it all. So fair enough. You're like an early teenager discovering the worlds of music. Do you have access to the internet while you're in Florida at all, or is it like? But how are you getting access to new music then, if not with the internet?
In Florida, that was when we had DirecTV down there. That was the first time I ever had like a satellite or something like that, and so that's when I started really getting into like MTV and like Much Music and stuff down there.
Hold on, y'all got like, Much Music?
Yeah, there was Much Music.
Straight up.
That was when I first like experienced it. I don't know if you guys had the box back in the day.
We didn't. Well, maybe okay. Other people may have. I didn't know what it was until I talked to Americans.
Okay, like, well, because like the box was kind of like a channel you could just call in. You had to pay like maybe I can't remember how much it was, but you could request songs. And so when you're watching it, it would have the little numbers pop up, and you could see what song's coming up next. Whoever was like, ordering it. And so that's how like I like got introduced to a lot of stuff too, like, and then like just friends and stuff too, like, like talking about like Eminem. I remember like my buddy like coming over with his tape cassette for the Slim Shady LP and playing Brain Damage for me. Like, dude, you gotta listen to this. Like, I've never heard nothing like it before. I remember just being like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was saying, growing up on like West Coast hip hop and stuff, like, I mean, nobody was really talking about those problems and stuff that he was like, that were more relatable to me compared to like, what I mean, what I had heard previously and other stuff.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I also like the way you described it with the comparison to this other realm of music that you were in too. So, and acknowledging the like relatability to yourself, whereas I guarantee you a lot of other people that listen to Eminem and go, I don't relate a damn thing to that dude's life, but give me that Snoop, I relate to that shit. And that's a fucking interesting part of music where it can hit us so differently. So as you're like going through this like journey, are you like actually making songs, or are you just kind of like writing shit down?
Nah, yeah, like it just started off writing and stuff. Like I would just always write, and then it wasn't probably until maybe like I was like 17, 18, 19, something like that. I was working with someone when I worked at Burger King, and the one dude there, like I would rap with, and he had equipment, and that's what the first song I ever recorded was like in his attic to like a beat that my buddy had gave me in high school. Like, I mean, I had like my buddy gave me a CD of beats in high school, but like I didn't I didn't understand, like, you know what I mean, like how to go about, like, I thought you had to go somewhere professional to record. Like, I wasn't aware of like the home studio stuff and all that because it wasn't really popular back then and stuff. Not a lot of people were doing it. Like,
Yep, that's true. I would say it took me a long time to get comfortable with the idea of a home studio being a valid option. I mean, we're talking like mid 2010s, like before I
yeah,
even started to consider it. And I remember for a long time, the main narrative was like you had to go get the nice sound at the magical studio. And
yeah. Well, like, you know what I mean, one of the things that kind of like opened my eyes to that is just like recording in some of them studios and stuff. And I remember seeing this video with it was like a Wiz Khalifa. It was like this song I heard all over the radio. It showed him like recording his verse, and it was in a hotel room. You know what I mean? He just had a mic thing up. It wasn't like, it didn't look like he gave two shits about the sound or anything. Like, you know what I mean? Setting it up, and he just set up a mic and just like, you know what I mean? Recorded. Like, I'm sure like the quality of the mic was amazing and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure, but like, why go to all that lengths of like building a booth and soundproof and stuff like that when, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I'm certain the room had good acoustics, or we wouldn't have bothered. But like,
oh yeah, I'm sure too. But like, you know what I mean? I'm sure that like that
but
just like,
the premise is powerful, right? Like, I mean, there are a lot of stories like that where like people just make songs in like, even if you think of like the environment the Wu-Tang Clan recorded in, like
oh
there's
yeah,
no way that was the grittiest shit, like RZA's basement type shit. To be fair, they had gear and that was a different time, but uh
this is very, well, and you can hear it in the quality of that music back then. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I like that. So you ended up in the attic recording this track, and what was that like?
I was just kind of like, you know what I mean? It was awesome. It was like my first opportunity to kind of see, like, you know what I mean? What can I do in that situation where I'm like, all right, I'm here in this room, we picking a beat, we're gonna write a song to it right now and get it all done in one night. Like,
So you guys went
and
that route with it.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? I just like, I had no idea what we were working on. Like, I just like, I had a thing of beats. Like, I just brought it just cause like I assumed like maybe he would have beats or anything. Like I said, I was new to it. I wasn't really sure. And we started listening to some of it, and then we just started listening to a few beats on it. And the one that like kind of stood out to us, like just kind of like started mumbling a hook to it, came up with something and stuff, laid it down, and just we did I did a 16 for it, and then we just did a back and forth for the second 16. It was just me and him going back and forth.
That's super awesome.
I remember like you just like too, like afterwards, like coming over the next time to try to work on something, and like his niece downstairs like singing the song and just being like, I'm like, oh man, like, you know what I mean, just seeing that like little thing, like it just kind of was just like, oh, like, you know what I mean, this thing is kind of possible. Like,
Yo, that's huge. So you got to witness somebody else singing your shit right away.
yeah, it was like kind of nuts, like, you know what I mean, because, you know, obviously he was excited about it, so he'd been playing it like all week. I come back the next week, they all like, you know, everyone at the house already knows the song and stuff. So
Yeah, that's actually kind of huge. I can't say that there's a lot of times in my life where I've walked into rooms and people be fucking singing my songs at me. That must have been such a huge fucking motivation.
oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know what I mean, early on, and then like I didn't get that feeling for years later. That was a little taste, and then I didn't, like, you know what I mean, I didn't get that for years.
So was that in Florida that happened, or was that back in
No,
Pennsylvania?
this is when I was back in Erie. Yeah.
So basically at that point, do you release the track? Do you like put it out anywhere?
No, like I didn't even wouldn't even have knew how to release a track back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still don't even know like how you would have released a track back then.
Probably YouTube or Reverb Nation. I think
Yeah,
that
dude,
was
like,
the hot shit back then.
yeah, and I did put stuff on Reverb Nation before, but that wasn't until, like, you know what I mean, like that was like oh 09 probably, oh like 2010,
Mm,
like I said, back in like oh 07 and stuff. Like, I knew nothing about the internet. Like,
yeah, that's fair. Maybe YouTube would have been the place. I don't know. I know that's back when a lot of people I know, what I've talked to who are making music, were doing the mixtape thing. Like they was just
Yeah.
flipping mixtapes. That seemed to be like the super popular grind unless you were signed. Um, and I can imagine flipping mixtapes in Erie would be a little bit harder than a lot of other places.
Well, there's a huge hip hop scene here that I didn't know about growing up
Say
too.
a
Like,
word.
there, like it's just like now, like it's I don't want to say it died down and stuff, but like you know what I mean. Like, there's been a lot of there's not too many venues anymore to do hip hop events here and stuff. Like as the past couple of years, and obviously with COVID, I shut all events down. But like,
But you're saying
what?
Erie had a fucking popping hip hop scene at one point.
Oh, like, dude, and it still does. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like not to discourage anything.
Right,
There's
right.
still like there's artists right now dropping amazing work. Like,
No, that's super cool though. And I say that because like I find sometimes having the perspective of like I don't know how many people are in Erie, but I imagine it's like a relatively smaller place, which means if a place like that can have a thriving hip hop economy of any kind, and it can have any kind of like collective growth or whatever, right? Then any city can, right? Like anywhere
oh
can
yeah,
pull it off. If a place like Erie, fucking Pennsylvania can do it. No disrespect to Erie, I'm just from Montreal, so everything sounds small to me, except for like New York and LA. But like pretty much everything else sounds like a small town by comparison. But like that tells me, yo, if Montreal like just looks at that, they can be like, yo, how did Erie pull off some shit? Let's go look at how they did it, and then we can go take some fucking tactics.
yeah. I just pulled it up on Google. Like, we have 97,000 people here in the population.
Shit. The fucking part of Montreal I live in has 166,000 people in it.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's just the part.
Well, then in the same, like, you know what I mean, kind of having it like a little smaller helps it for people to kind of like, you know, network and stuff. And because I'm like, there's a hip hop scene and there's a music scene and stuff here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great musicians and stuff in here. I don't know if you know, like, I'm in a band as well.
I did not know.
And yeah, like, and like, you know what I mean? That's where I kind of get to weave back and forth through the hip hop scene and the music scene because, like, like with my band and stuff, that gives us gigs that they don't necessarily let hip hop go into. Like,
Ah,
when
yeah, you have that issue
live,
as well.
when you have live music behind you, it kind of changes stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. There is a whole bunch of places that would never let hip hop come through in Montreal. Just facts of it. Like rappers can't rap there. Or like there's cafes where like if you swear you can't perform there. Or these
yeah,
environments like that.
I've done tons of shows where, like, you know what I mean? Like, my homie's like, all right, man, can't swear. Gotta go, like, you know what I mean? Going over beats and stuff. And I'm like, oh, man, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just remember one I did in a cafe and I had to censor and I didn't swear in the songs. I said, "Ah, fuck, I'm not supposed to," but like I said it like in between the songs and everyone had a giggle. Um but that's super cool. So you have like a lot going on in Erie that I never even considered. So in 2007 you put out your first song and then I guess what happens after that? Like for your like that, I guess you get the bug and now you're going to pursue it a little bit.
Honestly, like, you know what I mean? It kind of, like, I don't want to say it died, but it was just like I just had other interests too necessarily. Like, you know what I mean? Just growing up as a kid, just like, you know what I mean? Doing dumb stuff like partying and wasting my time chasing girls and like, you know what I mean? I skateboarded and stuff too. I'm still a like, you know, I still skateboard.
Oh,
Like,
yo,
was a
skateboarding
big,
is dope stills. How'd you get into skating?
that was like, it was when I moved back from Florida actually, because when I first moved down to Florida, like, you know what I mean, I grew up on the East Coast. Skateboarding wasn't really popular. I wasn't really feeling, like, you know what I mean, the vibe of it. But I remember like a buddy of mine down there skating, and he was just like incredible. It was the first time I seen someone do some like real cool stuff on a skateboard compared to just like a kickflip or something. You know what I mean? And I was
Yes.
just like, yo, what the heck? And it just kind of like, I was like, oh, it's just so cool. And I started like, my buddy had a longboard, so I started like just riding around on his longboard and stuff. Like, that's how I like kind of knew how to just skate. Like, I didn't know any tricks. And then when we moved back up here to Erie, one of my best friends actually had a skateboard, and he was like, he just started getting into skating, and that's when the whole like we just started skating every day together and stuff, and watching Rodney Mullen videos. Like I remember having him bringing over like and that was I did forget too. Like when I was in high school, they did let me use a computer. The one class let me use a computer, but I had no internet or nothing to put on it. All it was I used it for was music and skate video. I remember my friend bringing over a floppy disk and putting it in there. Like that's how we got the skate videos there. Like,
shit.
and it was so like grainy and horrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that was like everything. That was kind of like that was just life back then. So that's like, you know what I mean? As like to go back to what you were saying and stuff, like as I was getting older, like I didn't like necessarily put my head into like, you know what I mean? I didn't have that drive to like, all right, I need to do like this, like I need to get this music out. How can I do it? Like I kind of just like, you know what I mean? I was just kind of just living life, doing stuff. It wasn't really till my buddy in the band, like actually like my homie Johnny, he already had a band and stuff like this. The band was there before me, like, and they, a mutual friend, like knew each other. He came to my house one time for a party and like, he knew I rapped and I always like, I had like, you know what I mean? I had did projects with my other homie Webs and stuff. Like we had put mixtapes out, but like, we didn't really know how to like market or anything. We tried, we passed them out and stuff, but we did like Reverb Nation stuff, but like, it wasn't until like, you know, I really got with Johnny that like I went over, recorded with him. One of the people in the band really liked the song we did, so we started a side project, a side band, and that's when like I got my like first show, and that's when I got the first taste of it really, like being like, oh, like performing live, and that's when I really was like, you know, this is what I want to do and stuff. Like,
And what did you do in the band?
I rap.
Yo, you were in a rap band in like 2009?
No, this was around I'm trying to think when, probably like 2013, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. Like I could be mistaken because I'm thinking like it was right around the time my son was born in 2014, and that's when like everything kind of popped off right around having a kid. So it was kind of like it got a little hectic trying to juggle everything. Like the music stuff started taking off the same time. Like, you know what I mean? The family thing did too.
That's super nifty. So like prior to that, in like the 2009 to 2013, you're just kind of like floating around trying to, you know, dibble and dabble, and then all of a sudden this band situation happens closer to like 2013, and that's when
yeah, like, well, I kind of don't like, you know, I mean, I don't want to take away from like, because I was working with my buddy Webbs, and we put out 3 mixtapes together and stuff.
Definitely tell us about putting out 3 mixtapes with Webbs.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to skip over that, like, you know what I mean? 'Cause my homie, shout out like my homie Webbs and stuff, like, you know what I mean? He's amazing MC, just artist as well. Like he sings, plays guitar, like, you know what I mean? He's a beast and stuff. Like, but yeah, that's what like I met him and just kind of the party scene, like I said, just kind of partying around. They were kind of just freestyling stuff at a party, and I didn't freestyle too much. I was more of a writer at that time. Like I still am, like, but that was like, you know what I mean, my first taste of having a freestyle, like, you know what I mean, like improv and stuff, and just like, you know what I mean, he was really good at freestyling and stuff, and we kind of like, you know what I mean, I helped him to get to writing more, and he helped me to get to freestyling more. Then he started investing in equipment and stuff and started putting out our mixtapes. It was all on him, like really, like, you know what I mean, like, so like honestly, yeah, like definitely couldn't cut it out without him. Like without him, like, you know what I mean, like I wouldn't have had that drive just to keep going and stuff with it, and just to like, you know what I mean, sharpen my skills and stuff, like, you know what I mean. Then were my first experiences really recording, coming up with stuff, and like,
see, I remember,
you know what I mean?
Were you guys like and you guys weren't really performing, you were just more like creating it and trying to like put it out and get some buzz online?
Yeah. See, I've never performed. Well, I've performed with him since then, like,
right,
but like we like during the mixtape eras, yeah, we didn't have no shows and all. Like I said, I didn't even really know there was a hip hop scene here then still, because like, you know what I mean, I was still kind of like just doing my own thing. Like I wasn't like, I've never been like that person to go out to the bars and stuff all like that. I didn't know there was these shows going on and stuff at these bars like until later on. Like once I started, like, you know, that's when I started getting with Johnny and the band and starting to realize this hip hop scene that was here. It was crazy, like, you know what I mean? It's amazing artists here, like.
Yeah, but there's even a big lesson in that, because I did the same thing. I didn't go out a lot when I was young, and I was very unaware of the hip hop scene that happened around me. And I accidentally stumbled into the scene by like a fluke of chance in my mid 20s. But the reality is like I found out there was a lot of cool shit happening that I could have been participating in had I just like gone places and tried to meet some people at a younger age rather than like doing my own thing in the corner with the peoples. So
Yeah.
like, but like it's super, I guess, important then as like if you're a artist out there, the one thing I found that is like across the board to be truth is you kind of have to go out to the places where the music is to meet the music people. Otherwise you're not going to have an easy time in this world.
Well, and that's what I found, like, you know what I mean? And that's what, as I got later on, like, responsibilities and stuff, like, you know what I mean? And I try to tell my girl this, like, you know what I mean? I might get done with my show. I might get off stage at, like, whenever, but I was like, I gotta sit there and politic. I want to be there to watch everyone else. Like, I need to interact, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's things, like, I have, like, part of the gig and stuff, like, you know what I mean?
Yo,
So
those are
sometimes when I have to
big.
dip out right away, I know I'm missing opportunities and stuff. Like, even a conversation I might have that's with someone that might inspire me or something, you know what I mean? Like, even something little as that, like.
Yo, you just gave another huge knowledge nugget to all the indie artists out there. When you go to the show, watch the show.
Oh yeah.
And this is like even me criticizing a younger me, because like I'm guilty of the worst of them. I smoke weed, right? So now you got to go outside for 15 minutes and smoke your joint, and then it's 25 minutes because you got into a conversation. But you miss like a 25 minutes of the show because you wanted to, like. But in reality, if you're actually in the vibe, then you can walk up to the person after and be like, bro, the way you did the blah blah blahs, and that unlocks a door. And people know when you're outside during their set. Okay, like everybody knows when you're not there for your set at most of these shows.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, like, you know what I mean? That's a big thing, like, you know what I mean? Shout out my homie Johnny again. That was one of the things, like, he would try to, like, drill in my head, like, early on and stuff. He's like, yo, man, we got to stick around for this show and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Show some love, support, and, like, you know what I mean? No one's going to support you if you don't support them. You know what I mean? Like,
huge. It's huge. I appreciate you sharing all this. It's good. So basically, if we go back to your story then and you're getting into this world, it's when you guys were doing your mixtape thing. That's when you and Webbs went and met the next guy. And that's when the band side project story picks up. And then you get to go do your first show. And you in the rap band at this time.
Yeah. And it was like, in the first, like, the first one, though, like I said, it was a side project. It was pretty much like the side project of the other band. Everybody that was in the other band was in the side project too, except for me, and there was a girl, Lamore, who Johnny had happened to meet just the day of us all meeting up for music. He had met this girl that sang and was like, you know, I mean, she was just really talented. So he went over to our buddy Dan's house. We all just kind of met up and stuff, and like we wrote a song in 20 minutes. Like it was just like her beating on the table with pens and him playing the acoustic guitar. She sang like a hook. I wrote my verse, he wrote his verse. We all just put together, it just fits so well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, still a song that we play like out with the band. Like, it's went through so many different renditions from there to the band now and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was a beautiful thing. Like, and that was another thing that was just like, wow. Like, I think that was a part of the reason why, like, that, like, we got like pushed in, because like, another artist from here who was having a CD release party came to one of the practices and just like, he dug what we were doing so much. He was like, yo, you guys got to open for me. And he like put us on our show, like shout out Profound Produce and stuff. Like he was the one, like he gave me my first show with Blue Soul was the band, and it just took off from there.
So the band that you were in is called Blue Soul.
Yeah, that was the first one. And then it kind of like, as it went on, it was kind of hard to manage like both bands for like everyone and stuff, like, you know what I mean, that was in the band. So that's when it came to that point where we just merged the bands together. And then the LEC is the band. That's what I like. And then that's when we just like, me and Lamore joined the LEC, and I think that's around the time, yeah, because they lost. So we lost one bass player, and then Chris Corona, our bass player, joined in with us, and that's when we started doing the LEC thing. Then
What
the
is
more
that?
thing,
What does the LEC stand for?
the Lower East Side Connection.
Yeah, I like that. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, we didn't see like, and we were thinking about like changing and stuff when we kind of merged and everything. We kind of went through, but I'm like, they had already like done a lot with the, like, you know, I mean, the band, like as far as the name. So I'm just like, even though it's kind of be like this is going to be like the next phase of it, we need to still keep that band. Like we thought of different things for it, like Love's Extra Cheese and stupid stuff like that. We couldn't really come up with nothing. So
Mm.
we just, like, you know what I mean? We just keep it LEC.
Yeah, that must be. So the one thing about being a solo artist my whole career is I've never had to negotiate on names with people. Is it?
Yeah, when you have like six people trying to all like figure out something that they like and stuff, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard.
Is it like that with song names and shit? Like, so I imagine, like, or is it like whoever was the songwriter names it, or?
Nah, it's way easier with like songs and stuff. Like I remember, like sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Like I might just throw an idea. We might write a song and have it done and not have a name for it.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot.
And then there's some like where it's just like, you know what I mean? We know where we're going with this. Like me generally when I write, like I like to have the concept and the hook kind of done so I know where I can go from there, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I call that the essay format of songwriting, where it's honestly like structuring your song like an essay so that you can bang out your arguments. It's not exactly like an essay, but it's the best way I can like parable that like method is what I look at it like. Because you need to like think about your essay ahead of time, know your content, da 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 da. So yeah,
yeah, you got to kind of write like what is it, like an outline or something first just so you know where your story is going and gonna end, like. And then there's sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll hear like a beat or something like that, and I'll just start writing. And
mm,
then sometimes that helps too, because by the end of the verse, like I know where I want to go with it, and hopefully, like, you know what I mean, the hook comes easily, or sometimes it don't. Sometimes, like with this last album and stuff, I did a lot of rewriting and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Some of these songs I wrote two songs to, and just kind of like in my head, I'm like, which one I like feel more and stuff. Like, what do I hear when I hear this beat? You know what I mean? What stands out more to me? Like, I wanted to make sure that, like, you know what I mean? Everything was, I'm okay with it. Like,
that's super fresh that you put that level of effort in. So like, as of like 2014, then let's say you have a kid and you're in a band and the band's all performing. Are you guys doing a lot of shows?
yeah, like we would probably do like it varied in the years and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes like during the summer, we would have like, I'd say like 5 or 6 shows a month, like July, August and stuff. September, it slowed down a little bit. We play like festivals and like music festivals around here. We were starting to get into some bigger shows before COVID hit, and that kind of put a dent to it. So we're just like as of like this year, we have one show. We're playing the Chafee's Musical Festival here and stuff. Like it's like our hometown festival, music festival, and it's just like it's awesome. And like I gotta go. I need to perform. I need that life back.
How do you?
Just something, just to see live music, even if it ain't me. Even if I'm not performing, just to see live music and be around it.
Are there a lot of festivals in your part of the world?
Yeah, like there's a lot in just the tri-state area here and stuff. A lot of music festivals and stuff.
How do you get like is linked up with the festivals? Is it like a virtue of you just performed well and promoters no promoters, or like?
Well, like, you know, I mean, like there's been numerous different like ways we've got into, like, you know what I mean, like people hear us, suggest us this, hey, give us this information. Sometimes we reach out to them. Like you go and just like find emails. Sometimes they'll just have it up there, like, you know what I mean, like, hey, submit your like entries and stuff to the festival and stuff, and you just gotta kind of be on top of it because you gotta do that stuff months in advance. And You know what I mean? There's other people that just help us out, and I like to be honest, like I'm not the biggest part of that when it comes to the band and stuff. That'd be like my homie Johnny and Polkwest and stuff. Like they're the ones that kind of hold that down. Everyone, but like almost everyone in the band gets us gigs and stuff from here and there, just like being around. Like
Well, that's nifty. The fact that there's six of you just means you're six times as more likely to get booked on the virtue of six independent networks collaborating together.
yeah, and we all kind of like what I mean. We all stick like keep our ear out there when you hear an opportunity and stuff. You want to take advantage of it.
Yo, how do you last that long in a band? That's like being in a relationship with six people for like 7 years.
It is crazy. There's been trials and tribulations. Like it ain't easy and stuff. You know what I mean? But like these are my brothers and stuff. Like it doesn't matter if the band like ends tomorrow and stuff. Like these are still my brothers and shit. Like you know what I mean? If I ever like get the opportunity to like what I mean advance in this music stuff, like I'm gonna try to like have them be a part of it in some way. Like we all have our own lives going on, trying to make it work and stuff. So
That's cool that like you are like pulling it off. Uh, what's it like recording with the band? Like, how do you guys go about actually like? Because I talk to a lot of rappers, recording rap, and I get that world. I don't actually talk to a lot of people who've gone through working through that recording process with the band. So if you can walk us through that, it would be so fucking nifty.
yeah, yeah, like cool because the first like when we recorded our first project, there's the one guy, Trevor Husler. He's out in Denver, but he's from Erie and stuff. Big music person and stuff, like super like talented and stuff. He came back and recorded a few tracks for us for the first project that I was part of the band with. And that's like you get in there and you just kind of like just perform the song, basically a scratch track. Let's get everybody in here, let's do the song how we do it and stuff. We record that, but he might only have the drums are the ones that are really muted up in the other room in that aspect, like that time. And then like what I mean, he recorded all the drum tracks there and all the music instruments and stuff. And then when it came to like I think like the next day we went to his house and recorded vocals there and stuff.
So you basically end up getting like the beat, which is just all the stuff was done with the band, and then you would just get it as like a beat, do your vocal work on that, and then he would just like take care of all the stuff after.
Yeah, yeah. And part of that first project too, we recorded that like a lot of the other our bass player Pat Roach, he lives in Jamestown, New York, and he has like a studio in his basement that he built, and we recorded all that out there, the rest of the project and stuff. And that's where I started. I recorded a lot of my beginning stuff there as well. Like it's just like it's a great environment. Like
So like, what makes you decide to pursue the solo career and like go down that path with it?
well, I like taking it back to when we were in the Blue Soul band. There was Lamore, the girl that was singing with us. She had got pregnant, and she was just like she was one of them people that just like she wanted to get so much stuff done before she was pregnant. And she started getting into shooting music videos, and she's like, I want to shoot you a music video and you a music video. And she told like, and I didn't have no solo like private solo songs recorded at that time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she was like, oh, you need to go. And she's like, just find beats online and just like, you know what I mean? Just like you should put a mixtape out with just beats online just so you have solo stuff. So you're not missing opportunities to perform. Like, you know what I mean? You could be performing solo as well. So you don't need the band. And she was kind of the one that helped me like kind of pushed me into it. And like my homie Johnny, like the other MC in the band, like he was the one that helped me record and stuff. Like he had the stuff at his house, so he recorded my whole first mixtape at his house. And our bass player Pat Roach, we sent it off to him in Jamestown, and he mixed it all down for me and stuff. So
So at that time, are you going with the Tone Fach branding?
yeah, yeah, that was like his like my name like Tony Fasciano. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, I had to think of like I had thought for years since I was 11. I'd been trying to come up with a rap name, and nothing ever really stuck. Like, and so then that's when I just kind of came with the idea, and I was just like, everyone already called me Fach. You know what I mean? People already call me Tone. So it was just like, it was kind of easy. And I was just like,
Mm.
I was like, oh, spell it this way, four letters, four letters. It just like,
Yo, but it's even like better because that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like other people give you that shit, and then you
true,
adopt
yeah.
that name. So in a sense, it's like you did it proper by going with that method. At least in my opinion, for the people that don't agree with
Yeah,
me.
well, yeah, thanks. Bro. Like, I mean, that's what like, and that sometimes you don't realize it. Sometimes just like kind of hit, like, I mean, I didn't know what to. Everyone already called me Fach, so like, what I mean. I'm like Tone Fach, like just kind of cut that, like, because then there's a lot of people like Tony Fach or like, what I mean, or they'll say Fach or all that. Like we was talking about, like, what I mean. I just went like, because my last name is Fachch. And I just thought, like, what I mean, I was like, I'll just drop one of them C's and just make it four letters. I was like, if people don't understand how to read it, like, oh well, like that's kind of how stuff is nowadays. Like, what I mean, like
It
a lot of
looks
stuff's so weird.
it looks German to me. It makes my brain want to go to like a German pronunciation with like Fach or something like that. I don't even know if I said that right. But like that's why it's so hard. Like I'm trying to fight that inclination as I see it written there. Um, so you said like so how do you like then break into the hip hop scene? I guess you're now aware of it because you've been performing. So there's some level of
Yeah.
crossover.
And see, and that was like when I started getting Lamore and stuff. Like she started her own kind of entertainment like company she was trying to get off, and I was like one of the artists on board with that. And she actually helped me out because I made that mixtape, and she put on a show. She like put on a CD release party for me and stuff, and that was like my first like official like headlining show and kind of helping me like just get in the scene more and stuff. Because other than that, before that, I was just performing with the band here and there whenever we could, like. And at that point, we hadn't merged the bands together, so there weren't too many shows for Blue Soul at that time, but it was dope. A lot of people dug it, just like, what I mean, it was just a real like just like acoustic vibe feel to it. Like she used to have a guitar on a keyboard stand, taped to a keyboard stand, and she would beat on it with the pens, and we would mic that up. And then we had our other like the drummer as in the band. He played bongo sometimes. He played on his cajon. Sometimes I don't know if you know what a cajon is.
I'm not fully
It's like
sure what a cajon is now.
it's like a box you sit on and you hit it in different spots, and it
I
has
do
like
know
the
what
sound.
that is. Yeah.
Yeah, like he ended up getting one of them and kind of started playing around on that and stuff. Like, what I mean, like sometimes it was kind of like a nightmare to hook sound up and stuff for the sound guys and stuff. But like I just love the like just the like realness of it and stuff. Like my buddy had the one song he played the harmonica on and stuff. It was just like real like bluesy. Like it was awesome.
So you guys would do that all over, or is that just
I
like
just
that one event?
around town, like, we did a few shows in Jamestown and stuff. We would link up a lot of shows with the band too, because that's what kind of led to like merging the bands together. Because sometimes we'd like, I mean, LAC would be headlining, there'd be another band, but then Blue Soul would open. So then it got to the point where it's just like, why don't we just put these bands together, like, what I mean, and we can make like stretch out the catalog more, so we have more songs and stuff. And
That's fresh stills. How many albums did y'all release with the band?
uh, I did two, and I think there's four altogether. Yeah, four, because they did two before me. The first one was My Home. The second one was self-titled LEC Connection, if I'm not mistaken. And then when I first came on, we did Whole Again, and then we just put out an album, Reset, in 2019, is it, or 18? I'm not sure.
Um,
The year, it feels like I was in a time warp for the past years. I'm sure a lot of people feel.
yeah, it's definitely harder to make sense of the last 5 years than it used to be. A lot less cues. It's like everything got kind of detached. So you decided to start doing the mixtape thing, and you just go around, and now you're starting to perform as a rapper. And how? So that at that point, you're saying the scene in Erie is doing pretty well, though. A lot of
Oh
people.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
how many artists would there be in the scene? Would you be able to estimate that?
Bro, like I couldn't even give you a number to be honest with you, because like, what I mean, I'm on a like I'm a there's so many different kind of artists in this town and stuff, like, you know what I mean? And some stuff might not necessarily be my taste of music and stuff, but like, you know what I mean? I don't want to say that there's like 10 good artists in town, like in something, because there's definitely more than that, that like just that I know of. And I know there's tons of people that I don't know about and stuff, because like I'm sure there's other like hip hop scenes and stuff that have like that are bubbling that I'm not a part of anymore because I'm at home now with my family and stuff, you know what I mean? More than often. That's like my main focus right now. Really, like especially after COVID hits and stuff, you got to kind of prioritize. Like I've been at home, just taking care of the family and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Just working home.
Yeah, it's serious deals though. So you go through this whole like playing with the band thing. You're performing at the various shows in the scene. When do you start like working on your album, and how does that like come about?
Well, Craze actually hit me up. I'm trying to think when it was. Like, it was a while back. It was after I put my first mixtape out with Lamore, because and then he was like asking about who I was with and stuff and he was telling me about how he was starting like his label, and he wanted to, like, you know what I mean, want me to be a part of it. And I was like, just I had a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't like and then yeah, and I had a EP that I had just recorded and stuff too. So I was just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I kind of got my own thing going on, so I just kind of stuck with doing it. And we would just always be cool, like, you know what I mean? He'd always hit me up and stuff, and we would just kind of bullshit back and forth until like we kind of started talking again. Like, I can't even think of when. Maybe this was 2018 or something like that again. And he just kind of said it again. Was like, you know what I mean? He's like, I'd really like to help put out a Tone Fach album that, you know what I mean, that I think you're capable of doing and shit. And so then, and I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, I got nothing to lose. Like, this guy seemed like, I didn't know him that well. And that's maybe why I was reluctant at first and stuff. But we started to build, like, you know what I mean, a better relationship and stuff. And yeah, he just started like and I was on his project too. I did a verse for him, and a lot of people like liked it, and like, you know what I mean. And so then like he sent me another verse for me to get on, and then that's when he just started, like, we started talking again, and then he just started sending me packs like with beats, like, and just was like, go ahead, pick through what you want and stuff, you know what I mean. And as we just went from there, I started just writing and stuff and coming up with songs. And
So basically the albums is called Lyrics Over Silly Trends, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yes, Lost.
so what like led to that whole like concept?
Well, I just like, you know what I mean, I just, as going through it and stuff, like I had the title track Lost, like I had wrote that and stuff, and that's like I just like see like a lot of my like stuff is geared, like, you know what I mean, I'm one of them guys that listen to music for the lyrics. Like, I don't care how it sounds and stuff. Like if the lyrics are there, like even these catchy, like, you know, songs that you like hear on the radio that are super repetitive and stuff, like, you know what I mean, if it has good writing to it, I'm gonna appreciate that stuff. Like, you know what I mean, like that's what I love and stuff. And that's why, like, you know what I mean, in the end I was just like, well, I'm not gonna try to do nothing no one else is doing. I'm just gonna let the lyrics speak for themselves. And I went through a lot during the process of this album and stuff, like, you know what I mean, a lot of loss too and stuff. So it just kind of like everything started to kind of have like a double meaning as well to it. So it just felt more and more right to put, like, for that to be the title, Lost. Like, and then I wanted, like, you know, I mean, I didn't want it to just be Lost. So that's when I came up with the acronym Lyrics Over Silly Trends, like, and I had it for the song, and I was like, I just felt like it fit the album good, like, and then I was like, it just went with it. Craze helped out with the album cover and stuff. Like, we bounced forth some ideas back and forth, and he came up with the idea for that. Like, and I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds dope. Let's do it.
So and then you and so how long did it take you to put together this 18 track piece album?
It was some time. Like, it was probably at least a year and stuff. But just like I said, with COVID hitting and stuff, like, you know what I mean, that set us back a lot of stuff. Like, we sat on the album for a little bit too and stuff, wanting to wait till things were kind of getting back to normal and stuff before dropping it. And Yeah, and like, you know what I mean, I dealt with a lot of stuff, like, you know what I mean, I lost a nephew, I lost my father, like there was just like a lot of things kind of going on in my life, and it just kind of like, you know what I mean, just life kept throwing me punches, and I was just bobbing and weaving. I'm trying to get to the end with it and stuff, but like we got there and shit, so I'm pumped.
So now that so you guys put the album out, and what was it like to drop the project during this time? Like I don't know what like the live scene is like in your part of the world, or what you're allowed to do these days. Well, like what made you decide to just drop it?
Oh well, like you know what I mean, and it was like Craze hit me up and saying like, I think it's time to do it and stuff, and I was just like, all right, man, like you know what I mean, he has just as much, if not more, than me invested in this as well and stuff. So like, you know what I mean, I trust him and stuff, and he's had like, this is my first kind of big project dropping and stuff. Like before it was just mixtapes and EPs and stuff, nothing really I could put on Spotify and stuff. So you know what I mean, I'm trusting his vision and trying to do my best to just whatever like he needs from me, just so we could just kind of get this thing out there, just so people could hear it and stuff, try to build a buzz and stuff. So we have a project we're working on together and stuff. I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about it, but we got one of those in the works too and stuff. Like, you know, I mean, it's some good music. Like we've been making some good music together and stuff, like, and I'm just excited. Like, I just like, you know what I mean? I want to get it out. I want to get back to normal. I want to start performing, start shooting music videos.
Have you done a lot of music videos?
I got like, I think like 3 or 4 solo music videos, and then with the band, I think I got like 4 or 5.
Do you like doing videos?
Huh?
Do you like doing the whole shooting videos process?
Oh yeah, it's dope. Like you know what I mean? Like taking back like the one video with the band, like we were doing. I told him I was like, the only thing I want to do in this video is I want to just be rapping my part, sitting on the handlebars of a bike. Taking me back to that old Snoop Dogg, when Snoop Dogg's sitting on the handlebars of that bike, like rapping his thing, like rapping his verse, like, and that's what we did, you know what I mean? It's so much fun. Like, I love just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a performer too and stuff, like, at heart. So being able to perform stuff like that and just have something that's permanent, like, you know what I mean? Always be able to go back and look at them videos and stuff, and it'll take me back to that time in my life and that song. And
yeah, it's super cool. So like, what made you decide to like almost go down the road of having somebody manage all this shit? Because that's like super different, where it's you're just like, yo, I handed it all off, and I'm doing the art dad thing.
oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like, you got to put your trust into someone. Like, as we talked earlier, a lot of these people that, like, you know what I mean, might be the creative side, might not be best at the business side. And I'm not going to act like I am. I'm not the best at the business side and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was in years in the dark about internet and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like the most knowledgeable guy when it comes to maneuvering on the internet and like technology like that. So like having someone that, and just the fact he believes in me, like, you know what I mean? No one else like has came to me and just been like, hey, like, I like what you doing. Like him telling me, like, you know what I mean, I want to make a Tone Fach album and shit that, like, you know what I mean, that needs to be made. And that alone is just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, when he said that, I'm like, yeah, like me too. You know what I mean? Like, let's see if we could do it. And I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, and he's helped me tremendously on it and shit too. Like, you know what I mean? He's definitely earned that executive producer title on it and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it be like saying like, hey, maybe we should switch it up, like, you know what I mean, do this or do that, like maybe cut this word out so it fits a little better or something like that, you know what I mean, for the hook or something like that. Like, he's been a big part of it, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm super grateful. Like, we wouldn't be here talking if it wasn't for him. So
that's definitely true. Yeah, he definitely it did link us together. I met him like random too, man. He just like hit me up and was like, you want to review my album? And I was so new to album reviews that was so, I was like, you want me to review your album? Why, yes, you have stroked my ego. That didn't last that long in life. But yeah, the first like 2 or 3 people that hit me up, I was like, yes. And then, yeah, there's at least one of his tracks that I fucking swear to this day I still play. I don't know, it has like this girl techno-y kind of intro, and he just fucking comes in and raps, and I'm just like, yo, that was a vibe, and I like it to this fucking day. And yeah, and then
Yeah, he's a good artist too. Like, you know what I mean? That was the thing too. Like, I liked what he was doing as far as an artist too. I just felt we would like mesh good together, even though we're like, you know what I mean? We're not the same, but like, you know what I mean? We have a lot of similar interests, a lot of like, you know what I mean? Stuff that I feel like meshes good together.
yeah, and then yeah, he hit me up and he's like, you can interview my dude. And I know he had talked about you in the past. Like, I remember him mentioning that he was like putting this together, and then he like followed up with it all this time later. I'm like, yeah, that's like serious. That's like a legitimate follow up.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you're in a band that's going to a festival. You just dropped a rap album. What are your like plans for the next year or so?
That's a good question. Like, you know what I mean? Just like now, like in the just getting this, like, you know what I mean? Getting to this festival after like we're getting back with the band. That's why, like, you know what I mean? We had a year off. Like, we didn't really get together COVID because like our bass player stays in New York in Jamestown. So, and just with all the COVID stuff and everything, I said he has his family and stuff. So we kind of kept our distance during that time and stuff. And now we're getting back together, kind of getting back into the groove of things, working on that. Like, and then I want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to put out at least another like 2 music videos and stuff for the album just to try to help promote it and stuff. Like, hopefully do more interviews and just kind of try to get it out there and stuff. For I know nowadays people's attention span is so short. So it's kind of hard to, like, you know what I mean?
I'm not convinced about that. People say that to me all the time, but
I'm convinced because my attention span's starting to get short like that too.
But that's because we're old people, right? Like, and that's always been the case. You have kids and you're multitasking, but then I found myself doing this crazy fucking shit. I found myself watching long stuff in chunks. And then I noticed everyone's doing that. And then I realized the stats make it sound like everyone has like fucking the shittiest attention spans. And I think to a degree, with the amount of volume of stuff out there, a lot of stuff makes you get encouraged to like flip around. But content on YouTube's getting longer, like longer and longer. And when I look around, I'm like seeing all kinds of love for like really full length projects everywhere when people really like it. Like, take Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist and shit like that.
Yeah, you're well, and see, like, and I feel like that's like, you know what I mean? That's that demographic that I would like to hit too, you know what I mean? Because those people, like, you know what I mean? That's our age.
Yeah.
I feel like.
But it's also kids. It's just, I feel like the way that a lot of content is consumed is changing. But I also think that when people are interested in anything, they will put the time into having an attention span for it. And I think that in a lot of cases, people just often consume content they're not interested in, probably because of silly trends. Like, this is something I think a lot about lately. And I'm like, yo, I know people that would probably just listen to your whole album and fucking just bump it because they really like technique and they like songs that like follow that bar structure and etc. And I'm like, nah, there's whole markets for that. It's just a matter of how do you connect the people who want that as their interest with the things they're actually interested in, rather than the way algorithms use shitty metrics to like do the short attention span thing. So like, I think algorithms are a problem in that regard, but people find things that they really, really like. I mean, you look at my biggest case points, and there's 2 of them I have, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Makes no fucking sense if people have no attention spans. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Disney doesn't make sense if people don't have attention spans, right? Like, the other, and people love it because it's, I haven't watched any of the Marvel shit, so I can't attest to it, but I have been told the Wars movies were really fucking great and shit. Like, people love this shit. The other thing I see is Facebook comment fights. I don't know what it is, but that could make 50 motherfuckers sit there with popcorn watching 2 motherfuckers argue in the comments for 4 hours. So again, like, there is a time and a place for attention spans, and I wonder if it's like, I wonder why people believe that nobody pays attention when there's all these like examples of it out there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but there are examples of the short attention span as well, too. You know what I mean? Like, and I see it like I feel like it's more directed towards like the youth, just because a lot of like, you know what I mean, you look at all these videos and stuff like Vines and TikToks and like all that stuff is like, you know what I mean, real short, because they like, you know what I mean, they want to give you that content quick and then on to the next thing. It's same with like songs nowadays and stuff. I see it like, you know, a song has to be a real monster song to kind of stick around for months and stuff and have people playing it. Like people are so on to the next thing and stuff. And and I'm only basing this off of what I see on Facebook. You know what I mean? Because I don't have that. Like I'm
Mm.
not out there in the
I'll
world
give
and
it to
stuff.
you. With the music thing, there's just a lot of music. So sometimes
Yeah,
it's
well,
hard to like pay attention.
yeah, like you know what I mean. You over flood the market and stuff like with it, and then like a bunch of people are like, you know what I mean, gonna get swept under the rug or forgot about because there's so much content. Like it's hard to focus. Like there's dope rappers I know that are dope that I don't even listen to just because like I feel like, you know what I mean. I'm like, well, like you haven't sparked my interest that enough to get me into you. Like you know what I mean. Like I like you. Like I'll use an example of like Logic. You know what I mean? I know Logic's a dope rapper and stuff. Like you know what I mean. But I've never really heard a song that made me like I need to listen to his album.
So
You know what
yeah,
I
but
mean?
that's but even if you think about the words you used, interesting. So like there's something about a lot of music that I find like just doesn't like it's so amazing, but it won't connect with me in a way that will make me consume the product over and over again. But then I find these songs that for XYZ reason interest me so much, whether it's because it sounds good or I fucking swear it's shit like Man's Not Hot, where it's because, man, my girlfriend gets hot on my behalf and tries to tell me to fucking take clothes off all the time. And so when I heard Not Hot, it was just the perfect song for me. You know, like it's the dumbest reason sometimes that we fucking fall in love with shit to like chain consume. But back to what you said, interesting. So by like creating the character of Tone Fach almost, or even if it's you and you're just putting it out there like that, right? It creates more interest in you, which makes people want to fuck with your music and support it. And honestly, you just need 1,000 people to give you $5 a month and you're set.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So
Well,
like,
like you know, that's why like with my album, like I tried to open up so much too and kind of give like a part of me to it because I feel like those are the artists that like I grew up with. Like you know what I mean? Like you talked about Eminem earlier and stuff. Like you feel like when you grew up listening to Eminem, you knew everything about him. Like
mm,
even though you didn't, but like he put so much of him in the music. Same with DMX. Like you know what I mean? DMX ability to like tell a story and put you like in the same exact place where he was at. Like you know what I mean? You felt like you were right there with him. Like the visuals he would paint and stuff. Like you know what I mean? Like just draw me in. Like I feel like I'm like you know what I mean? I'm there.
I love what you're saying because I hear it in your album. Like, I could tell right away that from a style perspective, you're going to have a love-hate reaction with people. You're going to fuck with what you're doing or they're not going to fuck with what you're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But if they fuck with what you're doing, I was mad impressed at your versatility of topics. Like I was, and sound. Like my favorite one is the guitar one. I don't remember the name of it, but that shit's a fucking bop. I was like, okay. And that was it. Like I'm in the middle of it, and at first I'm like, it's a lot of rapping stuff. I got, and then that guitar, and I'm like, bro, that's nice. And then by the end of the album, you got like sad shit going on, singers. I'm like, yo, okay, this is like a full on like. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but like, it almost feels like the classic albums had a bit of a check a box feel. We gotta make sure we have this song on it. We gotta make sure we have that song on it, and
Hey
in the
bro,
best possible way. I feel like you accomplished that.
I honestly was trying to do that, bro. Like I'm not like, you know what I mean? I thought about all them albums I liked when I was like, you know what I mean, a song that you could ride to, a song like that's emotional, a song that like, you know what I mean, is just where I'm just going hard rapping, a song where like, you know what I mean? I did a song for my girl and stuff, like just something I just wanted to have something on the album for everyone and stuff, like you know what I mean? And just show like my versatility, like I appreciate you saying that. Like, that means a lot to me because I feel like, you know what I mean, that's what I was trying to do, is just put out, like, you know what I mean, everything that I have. Like, you know what I mean, I'm just going to put, like, you know what I mean, that's why I say in the first line of the album, like, bringing everything to the table. This is like Christmas dinner. I'm bringing everything to the table. I'm trying to, like.
You're also like fucking humble on the album. Like, I like that. You're like confident but humble, and that's a fucking good blend in light of the fact that you have such a powerful lyrically driven project. And I think that there's a lot of people that would appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, man. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I ain't shit. Nobody ain't, I ain't better than no one else. No one really is.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
that's,
Then it's
and
just a
like, you know,
matter of
I'm sorry.
finding. So with that, it's just a matter of finding more people like that. They'll fuck with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know what I mean? That's why, like, and that's why I wish, like, that things like would have been a little more back to normal so I could try, like, just get out to people and reach out to people and stuff, you know what I mean? Because that's a big thing too. Social media is a great platform, but when you reach out to people and hit people on them levels and then they go to social media and start sharing your stuff and talking about you and stuff, like, you know what I mean,
Yo,
that
it's
helps a lot too, like, you know what I mean.
big yes. Yo, when people just on a psychological front, when somebody you didn't ask them to do it makes some fucking post about your shit and tags you in it, it's kind of like, yo, that's way cooler. Like, it makes me feel
oh oh,
like
oh yeah, for sure.
like I don't know. It makes me feel like less inclined to ask people to do shit like that, just because like the more it can happen organically, the more I'm actually kind of doing well with it. Is my feeling with it. Maybe it's not the best way to approach it. Maybe it'll take longer, but it's fucking cool
hey
to
hey
me.
Hey, bro, to be honest with you, I don't ask nobody to share nothing. I ain't never asked no one to share my shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because I understand that it ain't for everybody and stuff. And if you really like it, you'll share it. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of, in the same sense, I, like you said, I know I should be like you. I should reach out to more people. I'm like, hey, like, would you mind sharing this and stuff? Like, you know what I mean? I know I could go on Facebook and spend like $200 and have some page share it for me, and they'll be like, white boy spits hard and kills it and stuff, like, you know what I mean, I'll get a bunch of views. But I was like, I would rather go a more organic route of, like, you know what I mean, just like a lot of my stuff too, as thinking about this project too, and a lot of, like, you know what I mean, what my I want my brand to be, like, more than anything, I just want it to be about integrity more than anything, because I don't want, like, you know what I mean, I don't want to compromise like my integrity or my opinion, my voice, to try to conform or just to get my music out there. You know what I mean? Like, if you like it and you listen to it, like, dope. Like, I appreciate it so much. Like, you know what I mean? But then the same, like, I'm not gonna try to shove it down your throat and anything, and I'm not gonna try to do something with someone just because I know it's a good look for me and might get some, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing my best to try to just, like, you know what I mean, stick to what I know and what I love and just be true to me
I
and
hear
stuff.
you.
And that was a big part of Lyrics Over Silly Trends too. Like, you know what I mean? Just being that, like, person that's just, like, you know what I mean? I love rap. I love the culture. I love the craft of it, everything. Like, when I hear a new rap song and stuff, like, I was listening to The Flash, or I said, listen, I was watching The Flash the other day, and the song came on, and it's just like, it's real heavy. This dude rapping all crazy. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, I pull my phone out and I, like, you know what I mean, I search it on Google, like, it tells me, and it's like this UK group, The Prodigy, I think. I'm like, and they did that. They have that song. When I looked them up, it was that "Smack Yo Bitch." Like,
Mm.
that was that band. But this other song was just like amazing. Like, it was just so good. Like, it was just such a lyrical, just great song. I was just like, holy shit. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, they're playing this on the Flash. It was just like, it was so random, but like, I just, like, you know what I mean? I just love shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? When you can hear authenticity, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell when someone's not authentic. I
Mm.
feel like real recognize real always. Like,
I definitely feel that. So I have a question about a possibly silly trend. I say it's a possibly silly trend because I used to think it was a silly trend until I had this crazy organic moment on it that makes me feel like it's a less silly trend. And it's TikTok. I know it sounds crazy, but there's this whole vibe of TikTok where there's beat makers who make beats and then there's rappers who rap. And I'm not talking about trendy shit. I'm talking about like you do your thing. Exactly as you do your thing. So 2 things were crazy to happen. I made this silly rap about morning hair. And then I open up the TikTok on the homeboy Seeb Dread is, yo, Holden, don't worry about your... And I'm like, this motherfucker just TikTok rap me. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool. So I'm like, yo, Seeb Dread, I'm not really... like we just kind of started doing this thing where we started TikToking at each other by our raps. And I'm like, yo, if I had more friends on here TikTok rapping with me, we could do like this whole almost like fucking fun story-esque vibe, But then the second organically amazing thing happened. This next man tags me in this shit. He stole one of my TikToks and put a beat under it. I'm like, no, like,
great.
So would you be open to like trying out some shit like TikToks and Reels and shit like that?
And like, it's real funny you say that, dude, because I started like I made a TikTok maybe like a week ago, and I was just like, because of like, I don't know if you know who Kato on the track is.
Yes,
he's a producer and stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with like Jaron Benton and stuff. I'm a big Jaron Benton fan, and like Kato and stuff. And I seen him posting on Instagram. He's doing these like TikTok challenges and the beats and just like. And then I've seen another artist from here, like, that had just started it too, like, and he's just super dope. And I was just like, oh, like, I just realized, and I started, like, because they show TikTok videos now are popping up on Facebook and YouTube and all this stuff. And so, like, you see it, and then you're just like, wow, there's this whole, like, kind of thing of, like, fucking the music, like, the duets and people doing it. I'm like, that's really cool and shit, like, And to like what you're saying, like I wouldn't necessarily call that a silly trend, like you know what I mean, like, and it would be like, I guess it would be silly if like everyone was like doing the same thing, maybe like and stuff, and it just got to be like, but like I've seen so many different like videos and different versions of like songs and stuff, and people doing that stuff, and I'm just like, yo, this is really cool and stuff, like. And to add to the other thing about the attention span, like I feel like that's what a lot of people too, because you hurry up and like, shit, like how much do you even get a full 16?
So you know what's fucking crazy about TikTok? They just moved it to 3-minute videos. Yesterday. See? And I knew they were gonna do it, and I knew that's why I'm thinking attention spans. I'm like, yo, why is Instagram fucking things 10 minutes now? Like, why do they keep making the space longer?
Yeah, that's a fucking valid point, man. That's you're true, like that's right. Like
I'm also like I can't say it happens often, but I've had multiple streams where like 11 people sit there for like 4 hours. I'm like, that's not a lot, but if I can find 1,000 of those, I'm set. Like.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, you know what I mean? That's huge and stuff. Like I don't know if I would ever like sit there in a something like that for that long. Even when I'm not like with the Snyder cut, like I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, like the Snyder cut, like it's 4 hours long. Like I fell asleep during that shit. Like I woke up in the morning, had the day off. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this. With fresh sleep, I still fell asleep like during it. Like I had a full night's sleep, and it's still like just long. I was like, man, not that I was pumped to see it. I was interested in stuff too. Like it was just like sitting that still for so long kind of got to me, like.
Yeah, I respect that, but I also don't think people just like sit still, because I think a lot of people are on their phones and shit, so they go cook or blah blah blue bleep and or like look at podcasts, or again, music also fits into this, right? So take your album, like maybe I wouldn't sit still for an hour and 8 minutes. I did, but I was working. That's what I did when I first listened to your project. Like I like to work when I listen to music. I want to know what it's like to work to it. I know it sounds weird, but I realized I listen to music most honestly when I'm cycling and when I'm working. I'm like as a person, not as it's connected to my world. So it matters to me what it sounds like on my cycle, and it matters to me like what it sounds like while I'm getting shit done, and then I suppose the showers and all that shit too. But showers is sing-alongs. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It's Britney and shit. We doing Britney in the shower. But yeah. So like I worked to it. I'm like, it was good, man. Blended. It's almost like you don't have to listen to it. It's like music. You know what I mean? Like I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but it matters, because like those vibes and shit, it started kind of being more important. And yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with that at the beginning of this though, so I totally got derailed in my thoughts. But I'm glad that you're super open to TikTok. I know I started Reels because homeboy put me up on the fact that like, yo, you run that shit through a DistroKid or whatever when you fucking put out your album now, right? And that motherfucker's probably in the Reels because we gave it to Facebook, which means if you start doing like a reel every day or two where you just sit there with your fucking song and film yourself, you get like 1,000 spins sometimes if you put hashtag explore page. And I don't know what that's worth, but they're monetized spins for your artistry. So that could be like $1 or some shit just to post a reel. But if you do like a lot of them, and then over time it builds up. My Insta started going up a bit, and like people's be fucking hearting it more, and I'm like, hold up. So I'm getting spins and appears to be seeing shit. So like, it's cool to like see that you're open to that, because I think there's ways to leverage this shit that's not corny, or at least true to yourself, you know?
Yeah. Well, I always said that too. Like, I would always give the example of like, I seen the one band that like went viral and they were playing Mario Kart. They played the theme song to Mario Kart. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's some like, it's kind of a trendy thing, but I'm like, it's a cool thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not something like that you, I like I would be like, you know what I mean? That's mean something to you. Like, I'm imagining now if you don't know what Mario Kart is and you just did it because you know Mario Kart's like popular or whatever, like, that's when it kind of gets weird. But like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Sure, they all grew up playing Mario Kart and shit, and like probably fiddled around playing it, like, you know what I mean, at practice, and was just like, why don't we just do this and put it out just for fun? And then that's the stuff that hit somebody and sparked, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's super fun to listen to. Yo, what's it like being a dad doing all this? Because like I hear your kids in the background, and you just got like this stone cold, like, I'm good, I don't even hear it no more.
Well, it's like I don't know. You can see me. I have been kind of like looking off. My son tried to wave me down at one point, and I told him like, he's actually like, I'm proud of him because I hear him in there trying to settle him down, because I have my niece here as well that I'm watching, and but like, yeah, they're crazy. Like, it's hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, trying to balance life in general, and then you got someone that's just looking up to you for everything. Like, you know what I mean? Just like, it's hard, like, you know, trying to like just balance life. Like, I feel like I'm doing a good job. I feel like I could be doing better. I feel like I could be doing worse, but like, you know what I mean? Just doing my best to try to balance it out. Like, I feel like that's life, is balance, really.
Now that I see it, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's definitely like a parent, like, okay, back to that's amazing.
Well, he just turned and looked and like kind of waved at me. I'm like,
that's fun. So I guess there's no like home studio recording for you then with kids, or can you pull that off here?
No, I am like honestly, like the past 2 or 3 years, like I've been trying to just like, you know what I mean, like work out a budget to try to build a home studio here, but just life just keeps hitting me, like literally, like loss of, like, you know what I mean, have new cars to get in accidents to just like, you know what I mean, stuff happening and stuff. Like, now I'm finally at that point where I want to start shopping around again and just try to, like, you know what I mean, get something down there, because I feel like that's a big part of, like, you know what I mean, a creative process too, being able to be at home and just like anytime you get an idea to go and lay it down, even if it's something silly, or like I would probably just sit there and freestyle ideas. Like, I know I could put out a whole album just freestyling. It wouldn't be the best, but like, you know what I mean, if you kept like, when you could pick it apart and stuff, like, you know what I mean, I would do silly stuff like that if I had the opportunity. Like,
yeah, it's definitely simpler. You know what it really changed for me was I would try to like fit shit into a 3-hour block, and like that means you're compromising if you're trying to like hit a time limit, and now I don't have a time limit, so I can like, I spent many hours doing the same verse just for like 3 hours straight until, you know, like a bunch of shit like that. I never would have done it if I was paying for it. So like it gives you that like luxury too to practice. Or like, I think I'm supposed to record something for the homeboy, and I was like, you know what? I tried to do it on stream and I felt like this is boring, but I can do it offline and it won't be boring. It'll still be boring for me, But like, no, it's not like I can take 30 minutes and figure it out and not have to like fucking worry about the impact of doing it, you know? Like, so it kind of gives you freedom. And then I just pictured having kids and how it would be restricted freedom.
Yeah, I feel like it was like, you know, I mean, for the most part, like my son, he's at that age where like he'll play that video game all day if I let him. I try not to and stuff. Like my daughter's the one, like she's 2 now, like about to be 3 in August. She's the one that's a little more like I got to keep my eye on and stuff. She's the more wild, rambunctious one that doesn't want to sit still. Like, yeah, see now it's been like, it was an hour and a half now. That's why they're starting to get restless. They're like, all right.
No, that's fair. No, I mean, I appreciate that. I guess that if your kids are getting a little ratty, I mean, I appreciate the conversation we had, and we could like wrap up if you want, because like.
No, it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got like a half left and stuff. Like.
Yeah. No, I just don't want to like impede. I've been told that parents have different realities and I should be more considerate and not necessarily push it, because I am not a parent. So sometimes it'll be like, yo, when it's 2 non-parents on a, yo, bro, we can put in that 5 hours sometimes. With kids, that'll never happen.
That's what you realize when you have kids and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I'd always tell like all my homies are about to have the kids and stuff, and I'm like, man, just go for a walk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's hard, like especially when they get older and stuff, it's a lot different. But like in them early years where they're just depending on you to everything and stuff, like it can get a little frustrating getting just time for yourself and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and just like working too, like, you know what I mean? You work, you come home, and you just want to relax when you come home, and then like there is no relaxing. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's like I always joke around and call it the second shift. Like it's like it's not as hard as the first shift, but second shift, like sometimes will drain you more, like. But I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like everything happens for a reason. Like, just me having my kids and just like my music, there's everything happening the way it has in my life, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? I have no regret. I wouldn't go back and change anything.
No, that's super dope. The problem is my girlfriend's listening to this, and every time a parent says something like that, and then you're all like, I wouldn't change it for the world. And it's just like, yo, that doesn't make it sound appealing, though, if you don't have the kids. That's the other side of it. It's more like, it's awful but wonderful. No, but I mean, I love the idea. To me, it sounds great. Everybody that has kids seems to like really push themselves and shit, and like get this deeper like fucking motivation for like life. But that no free time thing does sound trash. I've noticed on my end, the first kid cripples all fucking parents for 3 years. Just done. They're not people in your life for 3 years. 3 years comes by, I don't know what it is. It's like they come back out of the trenches. They're not the same as they were. They're never quite as fun again. They're parents now.
Hey, man. And some people might say that stuff about me, because I feel that too. Like, you know what I mean? Even when I get around people and stuff, I go to hang out with my homies, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's kind of awkward, because then all on your mind is parent stuff. And your homie that don't have a kid don't want to hear you talking about your kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he'll listen to it for a minute, like, but then after a while, it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yo, it's serious, though, that parent thing, because I go to work, and I've watched a lot of my colleagues come into parenthood. And so what'll happen is it'll be like a pregnant person. And then if you ever sit next to a pregnant person in an office place, you will see that every single parent in the office will migrate to that person's desk at least once a week for like the entire thing to give them parent talk. And then after the kid, you'd think no, then it just gets worse because the pictures and stuff appear. And then it's just like this flow of parent talk forever. And then the non-parents are like, yeah, I don't have kids. I hear you're so cute.
Too, but like you know what I mean? Like, I see like a pregnant woman, I just want to like start like, how you doing? Like, how far along are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're taking your vitamins, like, because there was a lot of that stuff, like having a kid, like I didn't know about, like, you know what I mean? I didn't know the do's and don'ts of like what pregnant women should be eating and what not eating and all that stuff. And like, you know what I mean? It was a new experience and stuff. So then when you like see that, and then when you see somebody like that too, and they might be in that new experience too, not knowing and stuff. So like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I hear you. I love the fact that you went to this, like, I just want to be mad helpful with it. I like that a lot. That's very
Well,
parenting
yeah.
of you.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, I mean, like I said, when I realized, because like I don't know if you know, when like girls are pregnant, they're not supposed to eat like lunch meat, like stuff like that, like fish. They're not supposed to have too much fish, caffeine, stuff like that. That I didn't know about. Like,
I didn't know about lunch meat. I think I knew about the fish and the caffeine. And I know there's other stuff. And I know that, like, being pregnant does not look fun. I mean,
oh no, I wouldn't even begin to try to like describe or understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm
I see
like,
my girl do it twice, and like, you know what I mean? Love her for it. I know I would, like, you know what I mean? I can't say that I would want to do it. Like,
yeah, I can say I don't really want to be pregnant. No, that would. I don't know that I'd be good at it. I don't think anybody would like pregnant me. Um, Yo, that's serious. Okay, so let's say, like, what other kinds of, like, stuff do you do outside of music?
like I said, skateboard a lot. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Besides the kids and stuff, like that's like, you know, I felt like as I got older, that kind of felt like that was like almost like my midlife crisis was just like, oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to skateboard no more, and like I used to, like, you know what I mean, like because as I started to do music and having a kid, like, you know what I mean, the skateboard thing went to like, you know what I mean, got pushed back and stuff, and then as I got older and got like my son got a little older, have a little more time now, I can take him skateboarding and stuff, like teach him how to skateboard and stuff, like that's like a big part of like, you know what I mean, just my release for the day is just going out to skate and stuff.
Do you do tricks and whatnot?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
recently like what was it, like maybe like a year or two ago, like my girl got me a unicycle. I asked her to give me a unicycle just because I was watching this video, and this actor on there, like they had him like on some talk show and he was riding a unicycle, and I'm like, man, if this bum can ride a unicycle, I can. So I had my girl give me a unicycle, and I like honestly say that I'm the bum because I haven't really learned how to use it yet. Like I can ride it maybe like 10 feet, but that's it. I can't just get on it and go. That was one of the things when I lived in Florida. The guy that what's it called, that used to skateboard and stuff, he used to unicycle too. He also sold me weed and shit unicycle, and like he used to come to the like where I lived at in this banana suit. Like he worked at like this smoothie place, and he would just always come on this unicycle in a banana suit. It was just funny as hell, and I just thought like when that, and I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean. My girl's asking me what I want for my birthday. I'm like, well, why don't you just give me this $40 unicycle and see, like, you know what I mean, like if I can try it, like. And then that's where it comes to, like, as I said, having no time.
How do you
Time
stop on a unicycle?
you get off.
Like, there's no brakes or anything, eh? It's just,
Nah,
that's
you just get
terrifying.
off. It is like I watched like a few videos of people, and I like try, like, you know what I mean. Like I said, I like I'm all right like with just like going, but like just keeping my balance, I don't have it. Like even a lot of the videos I watch, people weren't even like there. He's like, yeah, I can't even stand still with it. Like, did you see them people kind of going back and forth on them and stuff? Like,
Holy
and then
shit!
like,
Like, how do you get good on a unicycle? You must be like, you must fall a lot. That must be the real answer to the question.
and that's the thing with skateboarding. Like, you know what I mean? When you skateboard, you learn how to fall. That's the big thing about skateboarding. Like, you know what I mean? Any skateboarder will tell you, like, you're gonna fall. Like, you have to learn how to fall right, so you're not getting messed up all the time. Like,
Mm.
and that's like I'd always try to bring the unicycle out like 10 minutes at the end of the skate sesh or something, but usually like that doesn't happen. Like if I have the time to skate, I just want to skate. Like I don't want to worry about the unicycle.
Yeah, I would watch TikToks of you skating.
And see, and that would be like, you know, I mean, that's the other thing that like that would be like go like I've always wanted to make a skate video with one of my own music, with my music behind it. Like I've never had a full length skate video with, like, you know what I mean, a song, let alone my music to it. Like me and my buddies put out little videos back in the day, but I feel like that'd be a just a dope thing to do.
Well, you know what's crazy is that TikTok just moved it to 3 minutes, and I'm sure your music's on TikTok. So, like, you could just do that now. And
Yeah,
if it gets
we were talking about. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we were talking about TikTok. I wanted to ask you about this too. When I was trying to do some of them challenges, you need a microphone, don't you, to use on TikTok?
yo, my phone is my microphone. I just yo, I swear, I went and I bought this bullshit. I was like, oh my god, I need a microphone. Oh my fucking god. And I started tripping and I'm on Amazon and I'm like, what am I doing? Kids is on TikTok. There's no way that 15-year-old has a mic. What the fuck? And then I thought,
I see a lot of the videos, they have the earphones in and they're like speaking into that mic on the earphones and stuff. So that's why I wasn't sure. Like,
so what I realized is, and I found this out like a week ago. I don't remember even where, but these the fucking phone mics and these headphone mics, they are pre-EQ'd and compressed in a way that focus on vocal frequencies. So they're already like a little premix to like boost your vocal sound against your raw. Like they're not raw vocals. They're like algorithm that boosts your vocals and kind of makes them sound aight. Because I was like, yo, why do all these fucking like videos sound aight? Like everything sounds good. Even my own shit, I'll fucking rap on my phone and I'm like, this doesn't sound like ass. Like this shit sounds worse because it's so raw and I have to like actually put effort into like doing shit. But the phone does the basic. It's just like a template. So like as long as your phone is like within 3 or 4 years, you know, like it's probably just good enough to just run that mic.
It wouldn't mic. That's where like I assume I have a mic on my phone. Like I'm talking to you right now. Isn't a mic picking that up?
Yeah, we hear you.
And then I couldn't do it. All right, guys, chill.
Amazing.
Thank you, bud. But yeah, and that's where like one of the things I couldn't record myself. I tried multiple times. I'm like, maybe there's something I gotta click. Like I didn't have myself.
It is possible that you just didn't give your permission to the app to hit your mic or some shit like that. Like it's possible or whatever. But worst case scenario, any pair of fucking headphones that has a mic in it. Because like you're on TikTok, so like sound quality, as you would think for an album, in an album that's a commercial product you're trying to sell, it really, really matters. On TikTok, when motherfuckers on iPhone 6s and shit are gonna be listening on their shitty speakers and $14 Walmart, you know what I mean? Like, who the fuck cares, man? Just spit the shit out, whatever the fuck will work. $10 headphones is good enough. And then okay, listen, like if all of a sudden you have 100,000 followers and you're making some bank, get a lapel mic. But like, you know, but like,
well, I have the wireless joints that have the headphones in.
Oh, dude, that's perfect.
It wasn't picking it up. I must have did something wrong.
It is possible. Then the only thing I can think of quick, because like I mean it's tech support life, it would be permissions. Like it might be like you just said, nah, TikTok, you can't have my mic, and then turned it off.
And I might have did that like just initially, just like, no, you don't need all my stuff. Like, what do you mean? I just want to make a video. So
but then like to make the video, it does need permission to pick up and record on your device. Like a lot of these permissions kind of are like, yeah, it does need my microphone.
Yeah.
and do all that. But yeah, you sound good. You do this, then TikTok will further modify your fucking sound when it processes the video, and then.
Yeah, I always thought that too. That people sounded. I was like, man, they sound real good for just like mics on their phones and stuff.
Yeah, it's because the whole phone people have just like this pipeline of compression algorithms that make voices sound better than they actually sound.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like I said, I'm not that technologically inclined when it comes to stuff like that. I've been trying to do better, but
nah, man, it's just honestly just doing it. TikTok is, as much as I know shit, it's really just like I fucked up a lot, and now I know shit. It's like falling off your skateboard, but like with the internet. And so I had to sit there and fumble around on fucking TikTok, and I make shitty TikTok videos. Don't ask me to edit a TikTok video, dude. I'll throw text on. I know how to do that. It took me like honestly 15 minutes to figure out how to like add a song to a spot, an Instagram story. Like sometimes this shit takes me forever to figure out. I'm like not intuitive with it, but then you learn how to do it the one time, and then it's like, okay, I can do that over and over again, you know, like, and then you add a little bit to it, and it's just that you fumble through the process, you remember it, you add a little more flair the next time, and then a year from now your kids are embarrassed that you're a TikTok superstar.
My son, like, it's so funny. He's like 6 years old and he talks about TikTok all the time. He's never been on it. Like, he only knows about it because, like, he, like, just from videos he watches, like, he plays Minecraft all the time. And all those, like, YouTubers and stuff, he watches Minecraft YouTubers all the time. They're always talking about TikTok. It's kind of crazy, like.
Yo, Minecraft is pretty dope though. I don't even hate Minecraft, but yo, there's a huge Minecraft is like this crazy ecosystem, and then there's so much content built around Minecraft all over every platform, and it's like astounding because it's like it's Lego.
Yeah, I didn't really understand like the whole thing until he started getting into it. And I remember watching a video about like video games and it being like the #1 video game ever. Because they said you could do anything in it.
Yeah. It's cool. we were experiencing the dab life together.
Yeah, and that's what like I'm my niece like is here, and she like when her and my daughter get together, it gets a little crazy. That's why I'm like, I seen that I didn't like look ahead to make sure that like I wasn't babysitting today, and then I seen I was like, oh no, I got to do that interview. Kids are gonna be crazy, and I'm like, well, hopefully we make it work.
Nah, it makes it work, and for anybody that likes DILFs, you just scored a lot of cool points. Nah, it's not even a lie. It's a real thing, man. People like dads for reals. Like dads get like love. Yo, you should definitely step into the dad shit on TikTok too. Like rapping. Yo, I see people. Okay, I don't know if this is a silly trend because I'd fucking do it in a second. But like they go live holding their babies, bumping their music, just like, yo, I'm showing them the good shit. Like from time, I'm like, yo, I would just fucking live on that. I would just be there at the baby bumping hip hop all day.
That's funny. I did like that's what like my son like when he was younger. I remember recording at the studio like out of my homie's house and him just like being crazy up there. He just wanted me, so I just held him while I like did my ad libs and shit. Because all I had left to do was like my backups and my ad libs, so I was just holding him while I was doing it.
Did you get any good baby ad libs?
Nah, there like there wasn't anything either. He was real cool about it. Like my homie that was there, he was like, yo, he was getting into that halfway through it, like, because I couldn't really like, you know what I mean, focus on him. But and that's what like he last night he was watching something. He's 6 years old. He already came up with like a rhyme. Like he was making something like it kind of hit me in the soft spot, like because I'm just like, man, like, and he'll ask me like, is this good? And I'm like, I feel like I'm a little too critical because I'm like, no, that's not that good because it's not real. You don't do that. And he'll be like, oh. I'm trying to think because he was watching. Who was he? He was watching that movie Ready Player One.
Right.
And the guy's it's Wade, and he was like, my name's Wade, and I'm getting paid. And he's like, my favorite show is Blade, and I was like, what? And he's like, is it good? And I was like, well, yeah, it is good, bud. But I was like, your name's not Wade. And I was like, your favorite show isn't Blade. He starts laughing and stuff. Like, but then he switched because I told him, I was like, because his name's Julian. I was like, you can say my name's Jay and I'm getting paid. But I was like, in a sense, you're really not getting paid either, bud. Like, any money for me, like.
If I was him, I'd be like, I get paid in love.
But it just kind of reminds me back when I started out rhyming about stuff like I didn't know and stuff. Like I said earlier, like I rhyme about Escalades and stuff. That, like, you know what I mean? I never even been near an Escalade. Like,
but that's so cool.
Like, talking about back then and stuff. Like,
yeah. So you're gonna put your son on an album?
Oh yeah, for sure. Eventually, when it comes, like if it gets to that point, like you know what I mean. And I won't force anything, but like if he's for it, like. I'm definitely gonna have him try to be a part of it. my daughter too. Anyone, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had my nephew hit me up and stuff. My nephew's older and stuff, and he sent me a few raps, and it just kind of hit me like in that spot, like, because it was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, like, you know what I mean? I was a big influence on him just growing up. Like, I lived with my sister for a while and stuff, and always was there helping watch them and stuff. And just him sending me something was just huge to me. Like, you know what I mean? You probably don't even know how much that meant to me. Like, just seeing him do that, like, you know, but he's never really expressed it anymore. Like, I'd get him to work on a track in a minute if I could find something that fits. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm not ever forcing anything. Like it has to naturally happen. But
Nah, you just got to make the family rap CP.
that'd be dope.
I mean, just like all the most. Nah, that'd be freaking cool though. I think that shit would be like, yo, that would be like a non-silly trend, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, it has that authenticity behind it and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, now if I wasn't a hip hop dude and I was trying to do it, then that's when it would get a little crazy.
Yeah, no, but the fact that it's organic and that your family is inspired without you doing shit, that makes it special.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, super cool, man. I appreciate you having you here. Oh, when was the last popular family band? Is what Ismail just in the comments asked. And if I think about it, the last popular family band, and it's probably like what, the Jackson 5 or whatever. I don't know. Hanson. No, Hanson was probably popular, and they were. I don't know who else was there, or the White Stripes. Now that I think about it, it's not. There's a few of them, but you could be up there with them.
Well, and there's a lot of, like, you know what I mean, there's artists, like, you know what I mean, look at like Ice Cube's two kids were like rapping for a while, and I remember doing this. There was a cipher with him, and I think it was like, maybe it was Run, and they had all their kids there rapping with them, and I just thought that was really dope. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yo, that just sounds ill. It makes me want to have kids even more. Like, bro, I just want to be like rapping with them. It's not helping my case. My girlfriend's like, fuck that. Just having three of you. I want more than one kid. Three of you going at this shit. Boom. Yeah, Tegan and Sarah are they're not that popular though. They're like Canadian popular. It's not the same thing.
yeah, well, I'm sure there are a bunch of family bands around that aren't that big. Like, what, like, I'm thinking back like to the Osmonds or something like that, like way back, like.
Yeah, but it's cool because like you work it out. I don't know. It just feels like more like, yo, you could streamline the whole. Yo, one of them learns to mix, one of them learns to video. Boom, 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 banging out the whole process. I don't know if that's like a bad way to look at it, but like if it's organic, it's amazing.
Well, like, you know, you think about a lot of that stuff too. Like, you know what I mean? Some of these artists were just pushed by their parents to be artists. Like, whether, like, you know what I mean? Might not have been a family band, but it like kind of was in the background. The family was moving the machine for that one artist and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's mad helpful. That's dope, dude. Man, your whole energy's great. I'm certain that anybody that sees it is gonna fuck with your music more. Why? Because you're just such an authentic person with it.
Well, thanks, bro. I appreciate that, yo. That means a lot. Like I said, like, you know what I mean? That's one of the things, more than anything, I just want to stand for is like, yo, this me. You ain't getting nothing fake from me. Like, this is who I am.
That's definitely the case. It is. You have been you in the max of it. I think it's cool that you're also just like more than just like a rapper, you know? Like, you're a person, you do the skateboarding. That's actually fucking blessed. I'm not gonna lie. It makes you like a multidisciplinary type thing. 'Cause, skateboarding is kind of like art, but it's like where art meets sport. So it's hard to like describe it. It's like athletic art. That's like how I see skateboarding. 'Cause like,
Yeah.
so it's like cool to see you like also pursuing that. Your links and all that shit is gonna be in the description, just so that everyone knows, because everyone tries to play. It's there. Everyone down below, make sure you follow, show love, bump the albums, all that good stuff. 'Cause it was super cool having you here, man. Like, just going through this with you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And send me some links to your stuff. Like, I want to check it out. Like,
Absolutely, I'm super happy to do that. I'll hit you
hit
up
me
on.
Facebook or something too. Like, maybe we'll link up and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Nobody's like, I like it when people are enthusiastic like that. But you also thank all the people that are watching, because there's still people riding with us, right? This whole time. So you know what I mean about attention spans and shit? People keep like fucking riding through these lives. I'm like, nah, something to it, you know? Like, why? They tell me they like the shit, so I assume they like the shit. I'm not gonna argue with the people. But yo, would you actually, as like a last question, be open to even something like Twitch? And I bring up Twitch because A, you can write your music live on the internet. Whether or not people fucks with it now, I believe it's the future of shit. Literally, you can just open your phone and fucking record yourself doing your whatevers. And then other shit, like what we do at the end of this, is we raid people. So as an example, the homeboy Willie Scandals does this radio show thing where you can like send in your music. As in, you quite literally could send in your music. I can hit you up with the email after, and then he'll play it. So what I can do is there's like 6 people here. Then I fucking like hit up the raid button. We move the whole audience over into that guy's channel. Now here's what's crazy. As my homeboy Ismail just say here, there's a lack of rappers on Twitch right now. There's none. There's no like rappers. There's some like freestylers that just freestyle, but like there's not really like a lot of rappers doing like the real like I'm doing my career on Twitch thing. But there's like a gajillion fucking DJs. And it's freaking weird. So I'm like, yo, what if a bunch of rappers ecosystemed up? We could do like fucking like shows, raid each other, internet concert, all kinds of shit. Would you be open to something like busting into the Twitch ecosystem?
Yeah, like I'm not even that familiar with Twitch, to be honest with you. Like the only thing that I know is like I'm pretty sure Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park like made an album on Twitch.
Huge inspiration how I ended up on Twitch.
Dude, that's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like we were talking about influences and stuff. He's a big influence on me too.
Biggest
like,
one.
Like one of I think one of the best albums is that like, you know, wow, damn, why can't I think of the name right now? What's that album he just put out like right after Chester passed?
Oh, the session. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with that one because it went in a direction where it was new Linkin Park. So, like, as a fan, I'm like, that's not the Linkin Park I want. But I really liked listening to the album as, like, a fan of, like, Mike's.
Well, like, the one I'm talking about is just, like, straight Mike Shinoda. Like,
yeah.
It's him dealing with the grief of just losing, like, Chester and everything.
I loved it lyrically, but I do care about the sound. And, oh, my gosh, man, like, the album, okay, I had a lot of trouble with One More Light. Like, it was like, I don't know if you're Linkin Park. Like, that's where I was, you know, like, it was different. Yeah. Like, especially following Hunting Party, which to me is, like, one of the most incredible fucking things because it felt like a follow-up to Hybrid Theory we never really got, like, growing up Hybrid Theory. And then they went super pop, fine. And then,
oh yeah, and I fell off by that time, bro. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like you know what I mean. It wasn't until like honestly, like I said, like I was a big Fort Minor fan and stuff. Like
Fort Minor's ill.
Like and then that's when I seen that like you know what I mean when Chester passed and that like Mike Shinoda put out that song over and over again, and it was just like so like just like real. It just kind of hit you like you know what I mean. And then when that album dropped and stuff, I was just like blown away and like you know what I mean I feel like a lot of it because right afterwards too like I like I mentioned earlier I lost my pops and stuff so like you know what I mean like it just really helped me like get through that. Like I gotta look up the name of this album because it's driving me crazy.
Yeah, I'll check that right quick. I know what it is. I did an album review for it, so like it was one of those moments where I'm like I love the words and then I wasn't as into the post-traumatic.
Post-traumatic, that's what it was, yeah.
And then the 3 he did over Twitch is called Drop Frames.
Yeah. I listened to a few of that there. I didn't really dig into that one. But I just like a lot of that vibe. Like, he had that one song on there, like, I'm not the biggest MGK fan either, but that song he did with MGK and Chino from the Deftones, like, I just love the Deftones, too, you know what I mean? So just, like, hearing them link up and stuff like that song is just like it was just killer.
No, I hear that, and like and you said earlier though that your priority though in a lot of the ways is more the words, And on that
Yeah,
front, that album is everything. It's very authentically a man grieving about the loss of like his best friend publicly. And as a Linkin Park fan, and diehard, like for real, it's like 20 years and shit. But like, I love the words. Had a lot of fucking trouble with the fucking actual music.
I know exactly what you mean though. Like,
Yeah. But anyway, it was super cool to have you, my man. We're gonna have to get you on Twitch because I think you'd fucking love it once you got into music Twitch, especially with the bands and shit. Your band should even look into it because bands be making some bank, just fucking cover songing and shit. There's money on Twitch as a musician.
oh yeah.
But it was great to have you here. I definitely look forward to linking up again in the future, talking more and whatnot. Special thanks though, because we thank everybody again. In the future, we thank you, the people watching, like, follow, subscribe, all that good shit. Special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Pryor, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams, Scribble, Dove. Support what we do. Patreon.com/behind that suit if you also want to support. And we're gonna start the raid right now. So live long and fucking prosper, everybody.